final pandemic restrictions lifted, the Mission for Migrant Workers worked with our migrant partners, fellow service providers, and volunteers to adapt to the new normal. We resumed services that had been paused during the pandemic, while also expanding and enhancing services based on our experiences. Let us look back on some highlights of the past year. We assisted a total of over 34,000 women migrant domestic workers through our crisis intervention services, providing assistance with their cases and monetary claims, arranging temporary shelter, and answering online inquiries. We further engaged with over 20,000 migrant domestic workers at our outreach services, commonly known as migrant care centers. Even as we continued our migrant care centers across Hong Kong, we were excited to resume our larger quarterly Give Care to Our Caregiver service fairs in March. In our life and work skills trainings and seminars, we were excited to resume more face-to-face offerings, while we also continued to offer Zoom trainings on weeknights to enable more migrants to benefit from our free trainings and seminars. To address post-COVID-19 challenges, we have increased our trainings and education on mental health awareness. These trainings develop migrants' capacity to cope with various mental health issues, from basic care for mental health to coping with things like depression or grief. We also have partnered with various therapists and partners to offer free counseling services to over 30 migrants. In our social advocacy, we awarded new Happy Homes households and held our first ever poetry contest, highlighting positive examples of worker-employer relationships and the important contribution migrant domestic workers make to Hong Kong society. This year, we welcomed many new volunteers and partners while continuing to work with longtime partners and volunteers. Many of our activities are supported by volunteers, from our migrant care centers and Give Care to Our Caregiver service fairs, Cantonese classes, and advocacy projects and case assistance. In our advocacy, we continue to partner with migrant domestic worker-led organizations here in Hong Kong and advocating for a living wage that allows them to meet their basic needs and live a decent life. Doing so at the yearly consultation in the Hong Kong Labor Department for the minimal allowable wage for migrant domestic workers. We were also invited to be part of the panel discussion on promoting mental well-being of migrant domestic workers held by the Equal Opportunities Commission of Hong Kong and the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. We were also excited to reunite with our overseas partners after the pandemic, both in welcoming many of them back here to Hong Kong and visiting some overseas. We attended conferences in Japan with the Asia Pacific Research Network and in South Korea with the Asia Pacific Forum on Women, Law, and Development. We were blessed as well with an invitation to participate at the new International Financial and Economic Architecture Process Consultation on Labor of the World Council of Churches held in Malaysia. There, we presented on its Globalization of Labor and Inequality panel, discussing widening inequality in care work, forced labor migration, and the impact of COVID-19 on women migrant workers. As we move into our 44th year of serving migrants anytime, anywhere, the Mission for Migrant Workers would like to say thank you to everyone who has helped make this past year such a success. We look forward to continuing to work together to create a Hong Kong society that is caring and inclusive of all migrant workers. Thank you!